More than a decade has passed since Starbucks came to India, but the world's biggest coffee chain has been struggling to achieve profitability here. In the latest financials, the company saw its slowest sales growth in India since the pandemic. It is quite a stark contrast to the time when it opened its first store in India in Mumbai. I don't know if you remember, but people had gone nuts. For most Indians at the time, it was something that they'd seen in Hollywood movies. So, of course, everybody wanted a cuppa. There were never ending queues of people outside the outlet, hot and sweating in the crowd, but ready to wait as long as it took. Similar scenes also played out in Delhi when a few months later another Starbucks opened in Connaught Place. Pictures of people posing with Starbucks cups inscribed with their names on it, often misspelled, were all over social media. At the launch of the event, Howard Schultz, the then CEO of the company, had proudly declared how, in its 40-year history, India was the first location where Starbucks was sourcing and roasting its coffee locally. He said it was a part of being respectful to the country and taking advantage of the huge coffee plantation heritage of the Tatas. Ever since, in the more than 10 years that have passed, Starbucks has managed to open around 400 outlets across the country. Meanwhile, Third Wave, a much smaller specialty coffee startup that started around 8 years ago, already has more than 100 stores around the country. In fact, Third Wave was one of the first Bangalore culture things that I was introduced to when I moved here 2 years ago. Apparently, all the tech bros and girls with their MacBooks and Apple Watches go to work from Third Wave. Anyway, if everything does go according to plan, Third Wave will match Starbucks in terms of the number of outlets this year. Its new India CEO Rajat Luthra recently announced that the chain plans to open 50 new outlets in existing markets. Third Wave has more than doubled its operating revenue in the last financial year. In the year before that, it saw its revenue grow more than fourfold. It also raised around $35 million dollars in a funding round led by private equity firm Creaegis in September last year. On the other hand, Starbucks, like I told you, is yet to achieve profitability here, despite being a 50-year-old global coffee powerhouse with the backing of Tata. So, how far can a startup like Third Wave go? And the bigger question is, who is going to win the coffee war in India? Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host Snigdha Sharma, and I don't chase the news cycle. Instead, every day of the week, my colleague Rahel Philippos and I will come to you with one business story that is worth understanding and worth your time. Today is Monday, the 24th of June. My colleague and the Ken reporter Nuha noticed something quite interesting while reporting this story. All Starbucks cafes in the primest of the prime locations of Bangalore, Mumbai, and Delhi have something in common. I'm talking about the Church Street outlet in Bangalore, the Khan Market one in Delhi, and the Chowpatty one in Mumbai. Each one of them happens to have a third wave outlet very close to it. And this, my dear listeners, is not by chance. It is a very conscious choice. And the reason actually makes sense. Chains like Third Wave and Blue Tokai believe in the concept of Nash equilibrium or clustering. Nash equilibrium is a situation where no one can benefit by changing only their own strategy. If any changes are to be made, they have to be done by all the players. Basically, the idea is that being near competitors means more potential customers around, and moving away from them could mean missing out on these customers. Matt Chittaranjan, the co founder and CEO of Blue Tokai Coffee Roasters, which is a specialty coffee startup just like Third Wave, told the Ken that there is a rationale behind why these young chains are clustering around Starbucks. He said, and I'm quoting, our sales increase when these other brands move in and vice versa. He said that their data shows that having a Starbucks nearby actually helps them. Take Third Wave's outlet in 17th Main HSR layout in Bangalore, for example. It makes 40 lakh rupees in monthly sales on an average. And this is despite having around 10 other cafes within a 300-meter radius. So, what else is behind the rise of Third Wave as a Starbucks competitor? Stay tuned to find out. Who was the OG pioneer of the bean to cup concept in India? No, it wasn't Starbucks. Any other guesses? CCD or Cafe Coffee Day. This was back in the mid 90s, way before Starbucks. By 2016, CCD had more than 2,000 outlets across the country. It was the undisputed champion of coffee chains in India. But we all know the story of its downfall, financial troubles, and then the mysterious death of its founder, VG Siddhartha, in 2019. A former manager with the direct to customer or D2C coffee firm Sleepy Owl told Noha, and I'm quoting, when Starbucks came in, it had a free run because CCD was on its way down. Now, Third Wave has entered the scene and it is trying to turn the tables. From having one outlet for every four Starbucks stores a year ago, Third Wave now has one for every three. And it plans on opening 250 more outlets by 2024. And how's it planning to do this? The answer again has something to do with CCD. Since September 2022, Third Wave has added 35 new stores, and some of these new stores used to be old CCDs. If you remember, CCD outlets were always in prime locations. In the last 5 years, CCD has cut down the number of its cafes to 469. Remember, I told you in 2016 they had more than 2,000. So you do the math. Kunal Ross, the assistant general manager of operations and sales with Araku Coffee, told the Ken that Third Wave has actually taken advantage of CCD reducing their footprint and moved into those spaces. So, not only is Third Wave getting these prime hotspots, it is also getting the CCD customer base. So, what drove these people to CCD turned Third Wave cafes? A former manager at Sleepy Owl told us that it was all about the pricing. He said, and I'm quoting, it was absolutely perfect. You can term it as a better Starbucks. End quote. Stay tuned for more on Third Wave's pricing strategy. In 2021, Starbucks wanted to understand the Indian market better, so it hired the Boston Consulting Group. And they recommended three things to appeal to the budget conscious consumers here: lower price menus, localized bite sized food varieties, and smaller sized beverages. In July last year, Starbucks launched its smallest size drink, Pico, which is 180 ml, and the price started at 180 rupees. But Amritanshu Prasad, an executive at Third Wave, told us that he believes Starbucks brought in Pico looking at Third Wave's beverage pricing structure, which was 25% cheaper. But now, Third Wave is also working on the smallest beverage size based on customer feedback. Also, about localized menus, Starbucks revamps its menu 8 times a year. Blue Tokai does it 4 times. But Third Wave refreshes its offerings every 2 months and also launches new products occasionally. But is that enough? Not really. Prasad told us that a lot of Starbucks' regular customers are switching to Third Wave stores and that they see almost a 60% customer retention. Also, Prasad and a Starbucks store manager told the Ken that a Starbucks store on an average would get about 450 orders in a day. But once Third Wave came into the picture, the number dropped to about 300 a day. The matter became so serious that Starbucks actually signed a lease agreement with a Bangalore mall that says that no premium coffee chain can operate on the same floor as Starbucks. As you can see, the competition is heating up, and we don't exactly know how it will end. But there's one thing that we know for sure, and this is what a Starbucks manager told us: the war is being won by coffee.
Daybreak is produced from the newsroom of the Ken, India's first subscriber-focused business news platform. What you're listening to is just a small sample of our subscriber-only offerings. A full subscription unlocks daily long-form feature stories, newsletters, and podcast extras. To subscribe, head to theken.com and click on the red subscribe button on top of the Ken website. Today's episode was hosted by Snigdha Sharma and edited by Rajiv CN.